Sifuna, is this the right plan?
First, let me tell Khalwale, I don't know why he imagines I live in Karen. I don't live in Karen. Khalwale, I can't afford it yet. Number two, the question of slums, the slums you see in Nairobi, is an income issue. It's not a housing problem. It's an income issue. If you have ever had a conversation with anyone who lives in those areas that you're talking about, they have not chosen to live there, Khalwale. If they had the sort of resources that you and me have, they would not be living there. You must address the question of income of these people, economic empowerment of these people that will enable them to be able to afford proper housing. It is not their desire to live in those places. If they had the resources to get out of those areas, they would. And there is no one in Nairobi or in Kenya who would not enjoy a house with running water, flushing toilet, clean environment. All of us would want those things. But your economic situation is what determines how you live. When I first came to Nairobi, I used to live in a servant's quarter in South B Estate because that's what I could afford. Immediately I got my first job. He used to pay me 40,000 shillings. I was able to afford a two-bedroom house in Roysambu. I moved from the SQ to the two-bedroom in Roysambu. Then I got another job. They used to pay me 100,000 shillings in 2010. I moved to a three-bedroom bungalow in Mlolongo. So, Khalwale, what we are saying is empower people financially. Put money in people's pocket first. I am all for sustainable cities. This urban regeneration program that you're talking about, by the way, even today, we have public participation meetings in Nairobi. Personally, I'm going to attend two, one in Jericho and another one here in Woodley, because we're having a conversation with the residents of Nairobi about regeneration of the old city council estates. There has been a lot of hue and cry. But the City County of Nairobi has advertised that today there will be those public participations. I want the residents of Jericho who have been coming to my office to complain that nobody has consulted them, to make sure they attend today's public participation. Now, you can see, Trevor, that we have already been profiled as leaders of Azimio, that it doesn't matter if we are making sense. Khalwale will not listen to us. I saw William Ruto in church the other day saying that the noise that you hear is like the choir that accompanies the preaching, that this noise is the usual noise, which is why I'm saying I have accepted, Khalwale, that it doesn't matter how much sense I make, you will not listen to me. But please listen to the Kenyan, the ordinary person. If it is the Azimio people you don't want to hear our voices, that is okay. Listen to the voices of the Kenyans. And the Kenyans are telling you that this housing levy is bad for several reasons. And the first one is, nobody is against housing as a policy. What we are saying is, you have not grown people's incomes. You have done nothing to grow people's incomes. You have not grown even the income earners in this country. You should be able to tell us that this housing levy, you're going to levy 3% on people who are employed. In the period between the time the Bible was put down and now, we have created X number of new jobs that we can then be able to levy this fund on. Number two, Khalwale, you struggle to explain to Kenyans this fund because you know you are hiding the truth. This fund has nothing to do with, housing. It has nothing to do with building houses, Trevor. It is just going to be a fund like any other, like NSSF and NHIF, which is a source of ready money for people in government. That is what we know. And you struggle to explain to Kenyans that this is not a tax. My basic education tells me there are characteristics of a tax. Is that deduction mandatory? If it is mandatory, it is a tax, Khalwale. If I cannot pull out of it, if I have no choice in the matter, it is a tax. If it is deducted at source, it is a tax. If I have no say in it, we did not have a conversation, because if it's a contribution, Trevor, if I'm going to marry a second wife and I call you people for a haram to contribute, I should be able to ask you, well, Useme, you can only give me 10,000, Khalwale, because he's a bit more rich, he gives me 100,000. That's a contribution. But if I say, you people must give me this money, and I will deduct it from your pay slips, and each one of you must give me 100,000. That is not a contribution. It's a tax. And you have to look at it also from the perspective of the employer. Khalwale, if Citizen TV can afford to pay 3 anchors, Trevor and 2 others, and then you impose new levies, this is an increase in the outgoings, the expenses of a company, a business. They will say, okay, we are not able now to afford 3 anchors, we are only going to have 2 anchors. From the employer's perspective, you are increasing the cost of doing business, and you must look at it from that perspective as well. What we know is that if Kenyans' financial position was improved, because these levies, you must improve them in a certain economic context. Let people, first of all, have a breathing space, Khalwale. And you see, you must look at it from the context of all the other taxes that you're putting in place. If you want to deal with the question of housing, address the affordability of land in this country, address the affordability of building materials. You are talking about building low-cost houses. You are imposing another tax, a new tax on imported cement, which will have the spiral effect of even the local manufacturers. The prices of local cement will still go up. What we want to see is a government that has a plan. And the plan is you address the key pain points. Why are we not able to have affordable housing in this country? What is the key problem with affordable housing? It is the question of land. Land in Nairobi has become very expensive, which is why when we talk about regeneration of the old city council estates, places like Jericho and Woodley, where units are sitting on large tracts of land, we have a resource called land. We can use that land to be able to build more units in the same space and make them affordable by reducing that cost of land. And then you can be able to discuss this question of affordability. But even if you say a house is 3 million shillings, and a person is earning 500 shillings a day, you are not speaking to that person. You are not speaking to them. They will never be able to afford it. Why do you imagine that everybody is going to have children to continue paying for them? There are people who have no intentions. You know, you have an entire league at home. But there are people whose intention is not to have children. And there are those who are not blessed to have children. They want to enjoy their lives now. You cannot postpone our joy to 25 years. I want to have that house now, Khalwale. Where do you want me to be living in these 25 years before you give me this house of 3 million? So what we want you to do is to listen to Kenyans. Ignore Sifuna. That's okay, because you have profiled me. You have said that nothing good can come out of my mouth. But Kenyans are telling you, it is not Azimio who is saying this. Kenyans are telling you that because pay slips have shrunk, that net incomes have shrunk, you have introduced taxes on just about everything, including the cement that is supposed to be a key factor in construction. Okay. Please allow Kenyans to breathe. When our incomes grow because of government policy, when our salaries grow, you can talk to us about further deductions. But as of now, punda imechoka. You cannot add a single shilling. All right.